Today, we are so honored to be joined by Paula Blumenfeld and Dr. Irit Felsen. Paula lives and paints in the greater New York City area. She's fascinated by color and by the human body. Whether abstract or figurative, her paintings begin with the figure or its elements. She paints intimate figurative portraits, capturing the emotional state and inner strength of the subject. In addition, she creates abstract paintings, which allow her to exclusively focus on composition and color. You can learn more about her at her website, which is also posted in the chat. Irit is an adjunct professor at Columbia University and at Yeshiva University in New York City. She's a clinical psychologist specializing in the effects of trauma and traumatic loss and the intergenerational transmission of both trauma and resiliencies in families of Holocaust survivors.
Thank you so much, Sydney. I want to start with the question about your family. I know that your father was a survivor. What was the narrative about survival, about resistance, about all of that you grew up with?
There was not a lot of talk about it among the survivors. There seemed to me in retrospect, I didn't understand this as a child, but there was a sense of shame at perhaps not being able to prevent the Holocaust, at having survived. There was a lot of guilt about that as well. I grew up in a working class, blue collar neighborhood filled with immigrants from Eastern Europe and Germany. And a lot of their anti-Semitism was expressed at us. There were some bullies in the neighborhood. And my father said, "I can't fight your battles for you, but I can teach you how to fight." He hung up a punching bag for me in our basement, taught me how to punch, and I was tasked with taking care of myself and protecting my little brother, which I did.
Good for you. And then you came across the book by Judy Battalion, The Light of Days, in which she described these lesser known heroes, these women that you chose to paint. Can you tell us a little bit about what did that reveal to you about the Holocaust or about this narrative?
Well, it was a revelation. It was compelling and awesome and very, very difficult to read. I had not known about any of these Polish Jewish women who fought the Nazis, and I was overwhelmed by their acts of courage, resistance, bravery, their need to save the Jewish people, putting aside all of their backgrounds, cultural stereotypes of what women were able to do, as well as Jewish rules or traditions about what women were supposed to do. Some of them came from Hasidic backgrounds. You'll see in the paintings how I've symbolized their deeds of courage and resistance and resilience.
Would you like to look at a few of them?
I will be happy to do that. Okay, this is Jutta Teitelbaum, who was also known as Little Wanda with the braids in Polish. She was from a Hasidic family, and she joined the Communist Party initially before she got involved with the Jewish resistance. She was another blonde, blue-eyed beauty, and she was dubbed heroine of Warsaw because she worked in the Warsaw Ghetto. And you can see at the bottom in red lettering, I've written heroine of Warsaw. If you look to the lower right of the painting, you will see a group of symbols, which are the symbol of the assassin. She was really gutsy. She walked into Nazi headquarters with a loaded revolver. She intimated to the guards at the headquarters that she was possibly pregnant by the Nazi she was going to visit. And she walked into this Nazi's office and with a silencer on her gun, shot the Nazi in the head and walked out, totally unsuspecting by any of the Nazis. There was another one she shot, but he didn't die. And so to finish her job, she dressed up as a doctor and went to the hospital where he was being cared for and shot him dead there. If you look to the bottom of the painting, you will see drips in orange and red on the green ground. This is a technique or device I developed to differentiate between the women who survived and those who didn't. I left the drips and some level of incompletion in her braids because she did not survive. She was arrested by the Nazis, tortured for weeks, and ultimately succumbed to her torture.
Incredible, incredible story, really.
Well, I want to thank you both so much for being here with us this evening and for such an interesting and like really enlightening conversation. We're getting lots of people in the chat who are echoing that sentiment.
And thank you, Irit and Sydney. I'm honored to have participated tonight.